Hello and welcome. Today, we're jumping right into Malaysia's Budget 2026, and we're going to focus on one really big story, how a whole series of tax changes are being rolled out to completely supercharge the nation's tourism industry. So, let's set the scene. The year 2026 is shaping up to be a massive one for Malaysia. The government is putting all its weight behind Visit Malaysia Year, a huge national campaign designed to attract a record number of tourists and really showcase the country on the world stage. And that brings us to the big question for today's explainer. How exactly is Budget 2026 being used to make sure this whole campaign isn't just good, but a massive landmark success? Well, let's dig in. Okay, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the budget's main mission. Then we'll break down the juicy details for tourism businesses and for travelers like you and me. We'll also glance at a few other key tax changes and then wrap it all up by asking, is this plan actually going to work?
You know, every big budget move is really about solving a puzzle or hitting a target. And in this case, the mission is crystal clear. It's all about creating the perfect economic runway for Visit Malaysia Year 2026 to take off and soar.
So how are they going to do it? Well, the first part of the strategy is all about giving the industry itself a major power-up. Think of the budget as a financial toolkit, packed with everything businesses need to grow and invest from the ground up. And the very first tool they're pulling out of that kit, it's a really powerful one. It's aimed directly at the people on the front lines, the tour operators who are actually bringing international visitors into Malaysia. Okay, so here's the deal. Tour operators can get a 100% tax exemption. That's huge. It means the income it applies to isn't taxed at all. But, and this is key, it's not on all their income. It's only on their incremental income. So think of it this way. It's a tax break on the growth they achieve compared to the year before. And to get it, they have a very clear target. Bring in at least 1,000 foreign tourists every year. Yep, that's the number to remember, 100%. This is a massive incentive. It's basically telling tour operators, hey, if you grow your business and help us hit our Visit Malaysia Year goals, that extra profit is all yours, tax-free. Of course, getting tourists to come to Malaysia is just step one. The next piece of the puzzle is making sure they have an amazing, world-class time while they're here. And that means encouraging businesses to upgrade their facilities. This one's a special tax deduction. Now, a deduction isn't quite an exemption. It just lowers the amount of your income that's subject to tax, but it's still a big deal. Tourism businesses can deduct up to 500,000 ringgit for qualifying renovations. This is a pretty significant nudge to get them to spruce up hotels, attractions, and other spots before 2026. And that number really shows you the scale of the support here. A 500,000 ringgit deduction can be a real game changer. It can mean the difference between a quick paint job and a major overhaul that truly elevates a visitor's experience. The third part of this business-focused strategy is all about what the industry calls the MICE sector. That stands for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. And this is a top priority because, well, these kinds of visitors are high value. They tend to spend more, they fill hotels during the quieter seasons, and landing a big international conference really puts Malaysia on the global business map. So, to win this market, the government is bringing back that 100% income tax exemption, but it's tiered. To get the full tax break, event organizers have to hit some pretty ambitious targets. Bring in at least 1,500 foreign attendees for incentive trips, 2,000 for conferences, or a whopping 3,000 for big trade shows. The message is pretty clear. Go big, and the rewards will be big too. All right, so that covers the businesses, the supply side. But what about the rest of us, the demand side? Well, the budget also has some nice new perks for individuals, basically encouraging Malaysians to get out there and explore their own backyard. A really popular tax relief that actually expired back in 2022 is making a comeback for the 2026 tax year. You'll be able to claim up to 1,000 ringgit in relief, which, lowers your taxable income. But this time around, it's very specific. It's for entrance fees to places like theme parks and museums, and also for tickets to cultural and arts programs. Now, there is a little footnote here. As experts from PwC have pointed out, the government still needs to spell out the exact rules. What officially counts as a tourist attraction or a cultural program. Those details will be pretty important for people to actually claim this relief with confidence. And here's another move that helps families directly. The child care tax relief is getting a nice upgrade. The total amount is now permanently set at 3,000 ringgit.
And, maybe even more importantly, the age limit for eligible children is jumping from 6 all the way up to 12. This gives families a lot more financial breathing room. And the thinking is, with a bit more disposable income, they'll be more likely to spend it on things like a weekend getaway, which helps the whole tourism ecosystem.
Okay, so tourism is clearly the star of the show in this budget, but these changes don't happen in a bubble. So let's just quickly zoom out and look at a couple of other tax adjustments to get a feel for the bigger picture. First up, a quick definition. A limited liability partnership, or LLP, is just a type of business structure. It's pretty popular because it kind of gives you the best of both worlds, the flexibility of a partnership and the legal protection you get with a company. Now, up until now, any profits paid out to the partners in an LLP were totally tax-free. That's changing from the 2026 assessment year. There's going to be a new 2% tax, but it only kicks in on profit payouts that are over 100,000 ringgit per year to any single partner. And in a move that's all about boosting investor confidence, the tax exemption for certain types of foreign income that's brought into Malaysia is being extended. It's now going to run for another 4 years, all the way to the end of 2030. This is really about giving investors some long-term certainty. So after going through all those different pieces, let's take a step back and try to connect the dots. We've seen a bunch of very targeted, very ambitious policies. But the big question is, will they actually work? When you look at it, the strategy really has two main parts. On one hand, you're empowering the industry, the supply side, giving businesses these big tax breaks to invest and attract more people. And on the other hand, you're encouraging the public, the demand side, with tax reliefs designed to get us all out there spending. So, the financial red carpet has definitely been rolled out. The incentives are there, the goals are clear. The only question that's left is whether this big, comprehensive strategy will be enough to turn the dream of Visit Malaysia Year 2026 into the spectacular success the nation is hoping for.